Joining us now, the aforementioned Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia. Senator, thanks for being with us this morning. Tell me what's going on in the state of Georgia. Obviously, that number was made infamous by Donald Trump in his phone call to Brad Raffensperger back in early January of 2021. 11,780 votes was the margin in the presidential election there in the state of Georgia. How do you see things swinging this year?
Well, good morning, Willie. It's great to be with you. And although I'm in Washington, D.C., I have to say welcome again to Battleground, Georgia. And when you think that it was Georgia that pushed Biden over the top and sent him to the White House, flipped the United States Senate, sent me and my colleague Jon Ossoff to the United States Senate so we could get major things done for the American people, I think it was only right and poetic that last night it was Georgia to make it official that Joe Biden is our nominee.
Senator Warnock, good morning. Good to see you. So let's look ahead to November and Battleground, Georgia. Polls suggest a close race, maybe the president slightly behind. His aides have acknowledged that they believe Georgia could be harder to win this time around, in part because your name not on the ballot as well. But talk to us about the challenges and the opportunities for this president there in your state in terms of whether it be suburban voters, turning them out about issues of abortion rights, or perhaps trying to win back some black voters who might be toying with Donald Trump. Give us the lay of the land.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, it's a binary choice. And that became official just last night. And I think that as we get closer to November, people will see that the difference between these two candidates could not be more stark. The stakes could not be higher. I'm proud of the work that I've been able to do alongside the president and the vice president. I'm proud of the fact that my bill capped the cost of insulin to no more than $35 of out-of-pocket costs for seniors. We need to get that done for everybody because insulin should not be expensive. With one arm behind his back because the Republicans were suing him, the president did $138 billion of student debt relief. Can I tell you, I go into rooms all the time, and this is something I've been doing over the last few weeks. I ask people, do you know of anybody, or perhaps you, having had your student debt relieved, do you know somebody who's benefited from this? And hands go up. In every room I've gone in, $138 billion of student debt relief, impacting 3.8 million Americans, now dealing with this junk fees issue, not to mention that our democracy is on the ballot. I think as we get closer to November, you're going to see Georgia rev up in the way that it's done in the past, and we're going to send Joe Biden back to the White House.
Senator, after President Biden's State of the Union, you said to him that he delivered a sermon up there. So I'm curious, how and where should he do more preaching like that?
Hey, listen, he needs to keep preaching the gospel, tell the story. That's what I do every Sunday morning. There can be good news, but somebody's got to tell it, and we've got a whole lot of good news, and I'm proud of the investments that we've seen in Georgia. No state has seen more investments in clean energy under the Biden administration. And in terms of black voters, we've seen black wealth go up 60% since before the pandemic. We've seen a 30-year record in terms of the increase in black businesses. We've seen $7 billion, historic investments in historically black colleges and universities like Morehouse, the one I attended. And I think that as we get closer again, people will see that this is a binary choice, and it's really about the soul of our country, as Joe Biden has been preaching for years now. Do we want the America of January 5th that sent a black kid who grew up in public housing and a Jewish kid who is the son of an immigrant to the United States Senate in order to deliver Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman on the United States Supreme Court? Or do we want the America of January 6th led by the insurrectionist president? I want an America that embraces all of us, rural white kids all across Georgia, brown and black kids who are trying to make their way, our Native American sisters and brothers. I believe in that grand American covenant, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. Donald Trump is trying to divide us because people who have no vision traffic in division. And I think that this is the choice before the American people. I think the people of Georgia are savvy. And at the end of the day, they're going to do the right thing for Joe Biden, just as they did for me.
All right, Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you. Thank you.